Hey, how's it going, y'all? I'm here to talk about your first programming assignment for CSC 20. Um, I will not be going into much detail about reading because this video will be like 30 minutes long if I do that. However, I will talk about your method and class and also constructor development and also some tips and tricks for it. Um, So yeah, also, if you have any questions during or after this video that might arise, if you haven't already, join the Discord. Um, they'll, you could either shoot a message to the professor, or you could even tag me and just write a message. I'll be able to respond as fast as I can. You could also I just ask in general chat, and somebody will be there to help you. Um, so yeah, let's go back to the assignment. So starting off, you're going to need to create two classes, being the letter inventory class, which you will use as an object, and also a driver for the letter inventory called letter inventory main. Okay, um, so before we get started with the how to develop these, um, what I recommend doing for the letter inventory class is create the shell for the class, being write the constructor and its methods. Uh, just write them and leave them blank. Just completely write out the methods, and yeah, this it's just gonna help with you building your code, visualizing it. It's just an all-around good habit to just see how your code will fit together. You totally don't have to do this, but it's just something to add in. Also, you should start by adding your field values and also your constant. Your constant being a final integer for the letter cap being 26, because there's only 26 letters. Um, and your inventory array list, or sorry, array, um, integer array called inventory, and its size being set to letter cap, which is 26 letters, so being from index 0 to 25. And also a string field value for your data. This data should already be sorted into alphabetical order. It should also not have any non-alphabetic characters, and it should be in lowercase. Alrighty, now going back to the doc. So this first method is actually a constructor, a regular constructor, because it has a param value. So your constructor for your letter inventory will be passed a string, and it is up to you to work with that string. You're going to need to ignore its case, so that means you're going to need to make it be lowercase. You got to ignore any non-alphabetic characters, so remove any like maybe dots, semicolons, all that kind of jazz. Just remove it, and also you're going to need to sort it to be in alphabetical order. Going back into the code, I could show you a little trick for that to make your code a little bit modular. What you could do is you could add a couple extra methods. The first being a method called remove non-char. You could call it whatever you want, but pretty much what it'll do is you'll take the data given in the constructor, you could pass it into this method, and let's just say we're given the string hey. What we could do is we can make this dot data equal and then we could pass in the method and then put data in here. So what this will do is pretty much send this string into here. It'll remove any non-alphabetic characters. So let's just say hey is passed in with a bunch of dots. The word hey should just be returned. Alrighty, and then going on, You should also add a method for lowercase to convert the data to lowercase, and also totally optional because it's a little bit kind of difficult to do. You could either do this here or in your letter inventory. You could have a method for sorting the data. For example, uh, if George W. Bush is passed, uh, it should be sorted into its alphabetical order with letters. So the letter B first, and then E, and then G, etc. Alright, so that's pretty much it for that. These three methods, totally optional. You could just incorporate all those in letter inventory, but this causes your code to be more modular and more object oriented. Alright, moving on. Alright, the next method you're going to need to write is a get method. This pretty much, the user will pass a character, which should contain a letter, and then it is up to you to iterate your inventory and find that letter and just return how many there is. So pretty much whatever value there is for the index. Let's just say George W. Bush was passed for your letter inventory, and then it turns into this. And then you're trying to find out how many E's there are in this. So this should just return the value of 2. Okay. However, if the user passes a non-alphabetic char, let's just say they pass a dot or a semicolon or something, you're gonna want to throw a illegal argument exception. You can either do this really quickly by throwing it in the method. However, this is discouraged because it'll just provide a red error. It's kind of hard to read. However, you could make your own error by putting it in a try catch statement. So try and then catch illegal argument exception. You could call it whatever you want. And then in its own scope, we could do sysout, and then we could write error. Oops, I can't spell error. And then you could write your own error message here saying that the user inputted a non-alphabetic character and then messed up the code. You could either exit here, you could either do system.exit, or you could even, I really can't spell today. Oh my. You could either do system.exit, or you could even make the user input the character again, which it takes a little bit of skill, but with a little bit of time, anything's possible. Okay, so yeah, that's basically the get method. In size is just the amount of characters in your data. Pretty much using your inventory and then adding or summing up all the indexes. The boolean is empty method, or the is empty method that returns a boolean. It'll return true if the inventory is empty and false if it's not. The toString method pretty much grabs your data and then surrounds it by brackets and just returns it. Here's an example. Okay. Now going on to the add method. The add method's a little bit more difficult, and the subtract method, that is. Pretty much you'll be given another letter inventory object. So being the one you're currently, the one you're adding, or the main one and the one you're adding to it pretty much. The best example is right here. So George W. Bush, which is the first letter inventory 1, and then inventory 2 is Hillary Clinton. So you're creating a new object that's letter inventory sum, and you're taking letter inventory 1, you're using its .add method, and you're passing a letter inventory 2. So George W. Bush, after its constructor, it will turn into this, and then Hillary Clinton will turn into this. Pretty much adding them together, you're just taking these two values these two, they're pretty much strings in this case. Uh, Adding them together, and then pretty much creating a new letter inventory, and it should sort it for you. Or you could pass it into the sort method. It doesn't really matter because your constructor should do the sorting for you if you want your code to be like fully modular. The subtract method is a little bit different. Oh, really quickly, it should return the letter inventory as well, and it shouldn't alter the first or the second. Pretty much the main data or the other data should not be altered by this method. It should return a new letter inventory. Going on, the subtract method is a little bit more difficult because the best example, let's just say this dot data is hey, and then you're subtracting other dot data, and let's just say that's, I don't know, hey as well. So once you do this, your new letter inventory should just be blank, pretty much. There should be nothing in it. There should be no count. If there was two y's here, and you subtracted hey by hey, it should just return y. However, if there's three y's here, you pretty much get a negative. You get a negative y, and that you can't write that. Your code will pretty much break. Or it won't really break. It's just one of your values in your counter will be negative. It'll be like a -1. So in this case, you shouldn't return a letter inventory. So you should have it. If, if and else statement here. So pretty much, if you could pass in a value here. I'm just gonna write I don't know, if 0 is, I don't know, equal to 0. don't write that, but you're gonna have to write your condition here. So pretty much, if there's a negative in your count, you should return null. Return null. It shouldn't return a letter inventory because if there's a negative, it wouldn't make sense. So you should just return null. Okay, let me erase this because the code will not work if that's there. Okay. So that's pretty much it. Again, for this method as well, your other letter inventory and your pretty much this data should not be altered by this method. You should be creating a new letter inventory that takes these subtracted values. To do the subtraction, by the way, I know you probably have questions about that. Make sure you refer to this review of strings. You could do some pretty much math with characters. Pretty much this should be enough information. You could also refer to pages 166 through 173 in your textbook, or even look up a YouTube video. Or you could even ask in the Discord. You could either tag the professor, any of the other TAs, or you could tag me, and I'll be sure to help you. Alright, make sure you read the documentation and testing, development strategy, all of this jazz. And yeah, that should be it for this assignment. Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, y'all. Again, if you have any questions, make sure to shoot in the Discord or email the professor. And yeah, hope you guys have hope everybody has a great day or night. And goodbye.